It's Way Up with Angela Yee, and we have a great guest here today. Belly is here.
What's up? What's going on?
Mumble Rap 2 is coming out, and there's so much going on in your life right now. So
yeah,
I'm trying to decide where to start. First of all, you did get married, so congratulations.
Thank you. The wedding's officially this summer, but we married.
All right. So she's already your wife.
Yeah, the wedding's just gonna be a celebration of us,
All right. And I saw you talking about how much she's influenced your life for the better, of course.
Yeah.
So what was that engagement like? Because I know people always think about, like, if they're planning to get engaged, how they're going to do it. How'd you do it?
It was like this place in North California that she loved, and it was like impossible to get reservations. It was like, months ahead. I was trying to couldn't get reservations. A couple years ago on her birthday, I just had somebody reach out. I was like, I gotta just press the button and see like which one of these friends I've met along the way, these powerful friends I know for the last 20 years who could really make this happen. So I called a few people. Seale got on the phone. My homegirl Melissa, who like literally runs my life in terms of all that stuff and my day to day and just every move I make really. So she was like determined to get it done. And I got the reservation, so we went up there, Big Sur, California.
Mm-hmm.
So like you're like super high up, ocean views, and it's like the most western point of California. Like
wow,
you're
I never even heard of it. That's how you know I'm not at that level yet. But go ahead.
So we at this spot called the Post Ranch Inn, and then I had like a plane. Right, will you marry me?
Oh my gosh!
And then
if I was there with somebody, I'd have been like, oh yeah, he could have been like, that's for you, even though it wasn't. All right, so you had a plane ride, will you marry? How much does that cost?
But hold on, no.
You got to get like a permit.
Don't let me sound all like we went perfect, because it went anything but perfect. The W ended up looking like some ass cheeks in the air.
Oh man.
Okay, like it was, but it made the situation.
Like, when you get your butt done.
yeah. But it was crazy because it actually made, because of like the person she is and why I'm marrying her, you know what I mean? Shout out to my wife Dina. Like it ended up being better that it went that way. She was like, if it was like all perfect, and she's not the fairy tale type of person, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not really neither. Like I'm always trying to do things to like, because I love her, so I want her to feel that way, you know what I mean? But she's not even like, when I asked her to marry me, she said duh. She didn't say, she didn't say yes or no. She said duh. Like what the
is
fuck?
that a yes,
I was like, all right, she's from New York, you know what I mean? So it comes with the territory.
She was like dead ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Now I got to unpack a couple of things here. First of all, I can't believe that you had to call somebody to get a reservation, because I would think Belly could be able to just make that happen.
Nah, you know what? I'm somebody that I'm like, I like to stay like super behind the scenes. Like, so a lot of the access that I have is after I go to a certain place and then meet the people that are there. Then I'll have like a one-on-one relationship. But I don't like to just be like, hey, yo, what up? This is Belly, bro. I heard you got this restaurant. I want to pull up on you. I'd rather someone that actually knows the person connect me.
Right.
And then we can have our own relationship after that. So
how does that work being an artist? Because obviously behind the scenes, you've done so much, right? And you don't have to, if you didn't want to, you didn't have to be an artist yourself.
Right.
But being somebody that doesn't like to put yourself out there like that, how does that work for you?
This is how it works for me. Exactly how. No, this is how my thing works. Is like, I do the things I want to do. You know what I mean? Because I know I don't have to do anything.
All right, that's a good feeling.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like I want to do this. Like I pull up and do this. But like I get interview requests sometimes. People I don't really like. Like I don't like their platform. No, for real. I don't like the questions they ask. Like I don't feel like they're like helping out the culture in any way. And I'm just like, I'm not going over there type of thing. But at least I get to make those choices now.
Right.
In my life based on what I've done in the past,
And it's important to you that other artists also respect you a lot. You did this whole project with Hit Boy, but you're the type of person that I can't imagine that behind the scenes you would call somebody up and they not pulling up.
No, that's something I've been blessed with, and I think that has to do more with like I curate a good vibe. You know, like I really like to. My whole thing is like energy first. You know, like someone else might have an artist coming in. They're like, hey, what mics do we got? What guitars do we got? What engineers coming? I got an artist pulling up. I'm like, hey, what scented candles do we have today? You know, what light are we gonna put on here? Because I feel like that's what's gonna start everything. Like that good feeling that you get, that fun that you're gonna have is gonna like create the best music or create at least the best chance to make some good music. You know what I mean?
You know what I like about your music too is it's lyrical, but then you also talk some ish too. It's not, you know, like it's like some party vibes. I want to ask you, when you write for other people, right? Like when you're writing for Beyonce or obviously The Weeknd, who is a person that you co-write with a lot. Do you do records for them that would be different than what you would do for yourself?
Nowadays, I think it's like I just make music. Like I don't even like to go in there and be like, this is for me. Like I'm gonna just go in there and like again like whatever like that day is telling me to do, I'm gonna do it. And then sometimes like the song is done and I'm like, this is not a Belly song. You know, like I would have made it not thinking that, but once I'm done, I'm like, yeah, this has to go to somebody.
Like what? Give me an example of one song that was not a Belly song. After you made it, you said this has to go to somebody.
Well, man, I mean, oh yeah, Medication. For Damian Marley,
Okay.
right? That song, like, as soon as I finished it, I was like, I can't put this. It's not. I'm not gonna be like medication. You know what I mean? Like, that's gotta be. You know what I mean? So sometimes it happens like that, but that's not gonna stop me from making something like a medication. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna just do what I feel that day. You know.
Let's dig back into some of your history, too, because you're from Palestine, and then you came to Canada, to Ottawa. At what age were you, like 7?
Yeah.
Was it 7 years old?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to me because people don't understand, as we're watching everything that's happening here in the United States with immigration and, shutting the borders down, and then you see they're, like, shipping all these human beings from Texas to New York and to other places, but it's more like a political ploy, right? It's not really, we care about these human beings, we want to try to help them. So when you left Palestine, what was the situation that had you go to your family go to Canada?
I mean, I was super young, leaving Palestine. I think, just in general, it was bouncing around like a lot of Palestinian families had to do. We spent time in Saudi Arabia and in Jordan, a lot of time in Jordan. A lot of my family still lives in Jordan. But, you know, like I think coming to Canada was like a culture shock of a lot of things. It was, you know, so many luxuries, I guess, that they had that I didn't even know existed. You know, I tell people all the time, it was like the first time I saw a microwave was when I came to Canada. Like we used to heat bread
Things
up on
we don't even think about.
like on the fire stove. Like you just turn the stove on and put the bread on. That's how we used to heat it up. And I was like, what? You just put this thing in and 30 seconds later it comes out and the bread is...
It might not be good for you, but, you know, it's convenient.
Hey, it's good for my timing.
Right,
you know?
right.
But yeah, it was just a lot of little culture shock like that, and confusion amongst people, not knowing what I was, or like what was an influx of immigrants that came in, so they didn't really know what we were.
Right.
So it was like that. It was like a lot of that, you know.
Did you have a whole community, since you said there was a whole influx? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. It's like, that's why, like, till today, I grew up. Obviously, I'm Palestinian, but I grew up Palestinian, Lebanese. I grew up a little bit Iraqi. I grew up a little bit Somalian. I grew up, you know, so our whole neighborhood was like this melting pot of all the different cultures, Jamaican and Haitian and just everything, but also like the Middle East, and then, you know, so North Africa. So like our neighborhood was crazy, and it was like a community feeling, to the point where, you know, if it was a holiday in a certain culture and they cooked a big feast, everybody was invited. So, you know, I learned what like Angetta was real young, and like, you know, stuff like that was outside of my own culture. I got
What
to
is
learn
that?
about. That's like
East
East African bread.
Okay.
You know, so I was like learning about stuff like that as a kid, just because of that. It was like a melting pot. So it was a good community for us to have. You know?
And what did your parents do when they went to Ottawa?
My dad was in construction. Like, he was a construction worker before. You know, he applied to come to Canada, got accepted. when he came, he was just like a dude with a dream, you know? Like we were staying in a motel when we first came to Canada, and I thought I was living in luxury. Like
You don't realize until you move out that motel.
yeah, I had no idea. Like I was like, man, they got pet roaches too. This is crazy. You know?
Let me give him some of this bread. Listen.
Yeah, this microwaved bread right quick. But yeah, that's. I mean, you know, I as a kid, you don't know. Like
You're right though.
and you don't really feel it. Like to you, this is like wow. Like I'm living like a king and stuff. You know, and my parents always made sure that we never felt any of the stuff that they know we might be feeling at that time. Like they made sure like we felt like we were on top of the world, you know, when we got there. So.
And then you start listening to hip hop. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw you said that that's really how you learn English, listening to Biggie.
A lot of that, yeah. A lot of that. I was talking crazy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny to me. So your parents, and how was their English when they came here?
My mom always like pursued you know, to educate herself because she had to drop out of high school when she was in the Middle East. She had my sister real young. She had my sister when she was like 17 or 18. And then she came to Canada and was like, you know, she had like this chip on her shoulder to be like, no, I got to finish my education.
I love that.
And yeah, get a degree and all that. So my mom actually speaks like perfect, fluent English. Like all Arabs, you know, she confuses the P and the B sometimes, but that's you know every Arab on the planet. But yeah, my pops never really. He was embroiled in like the working. He was just always working. So he never got a chance to really build up his English. Like.
And what did they think about hip hop when you started listening to it in the house, and then when they realized this is something that you wanted to pursue?
They were both. I mean, like my mom was more supportive, but they were both super supportive of whatever I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my older brother was in the streets, so every day he was, you know, it was a different court case they had to go to and this that, and they were like, "Oh, you found something that's positive that you want to do? Okay, how about this? Just stick to that, do that." You know, because like you know we were in a environment that kind of like coaxed us into it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And what was your first check when you realized, okay, this is about to work, and when your family realized this is a real thing?
Man, my first check was peanuts, but it just felt good. Like I remember I got a royalty check for like this song I had on the radio probably 20 years ago or something. And it was like a $500 royalty, like $600 royalty check. I was like, what? This came from music?
Happening.
Like, no, this is impossible. But it just showed me, like, you know, if you can get a $500 check, you can get a $500,000 check, you know, so on and so forth. So,
Where do you think your songwriting ability came from?
Perspective. I think I'm someone that's really keen on, like, perspective. Like, before I make, or have an opinion about something, I want to see it from every side I can see it from. And just being that way, it helps you, like with music, to be able to look at something, you know, from every angle. And I think that's like what makes, you know, if you want to talk about a subject and you just say it plainly, like it's not interesting to nobody. But if you give somebody the perspective on what's happening, then they're like, oh, okay, I understand it. You know what I mean? So I think perspective, to me, is probably my biggest strength.
Now, also, before Mumble Rap 2 comes out, you also had tweeted recently that you feel like this is going to be your last out of 3 albums. So talk to me about that, because you've had such a successful career so far. Obviously, people love you, but why is it that you feel like, okay, I'm just done with this business?
Man, it's hard to say this without sounding ungrateful.
It's okay. I think as a human being, because sometimes people also feel like just because you've done well and you've made a lot of money, that means that you're really happy. But I look at it like you've done well, you made a lot of money, you have the right to choose what your path is going to be.
Yeah, but I think I'm past thinking that I'm gonna do like what I set out to do with rap, right? So when I was setting out to start this career, I was in my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be Jay-Z, right? And you know, I got to meet Jay-Z and sign to Jay-Z and have Jay-Z tell the world that I'm nice, you know what I mean? So that was an amazing accomplishment in itself. But for me, that's, that ain't enough. Like, I always wanted more out of rap. You know what I mean? So now I think out of hip hop. So like now I think I'm at the point where I'm like, look, I was able to put a lot of people in some great positions. I was able to create music, even though it didn't have my name on it when it came out. I was able to create music that still feels like mine, and went to the top of the mountain. So then, I just think about purpose. Maybe the exact purpose I wanted out of this isn't what I got, but everything else that came with it has changed my life and the life of everybody around me. And so that's why I say, like, I don't want to sound ungrateful saying that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I did. If we're gonna be real, I did expect more, 100%.
Okay.
Out of my hip hop career, I did expect more. I did expect bigger tours. I did expect, I had one number one on rhythmic single. I expected number one singles. I expected, because I'm writing this stuff.
Yeah, and you're seeing
for everybody else, and it's like
number one biggest charting hits for.
Yeah, and it's like when there's someone else's face and name on it, from the wide array of artists I've worked with, it's like it always makes me be like, okay, so why isn't it the same when I put it out? Right.
But like you said, when you came in here, you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes you feel like people have to play the game a little in order to get to a certain point. And if you and you're not willing to do that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And she was just like, "Shut up. I know why." Yeah. No, but that really is too. That's a huge part of it. Is that I don't like to play the game, and it's like hard for me to consolidate having to do that to gain this. So. And then I think the comfort that came with being like, oh, I could just write songs.
Yeah, you can.
And
but you're still gonna write, even if you're not putting out your own albums. Are you done completely?
Well, with writing, I think I built an archive of. I got probably, like, no exaggeration, I got probably 5,000 reference songs.
Sheesh.
That have never seen the light of day. So like we've been going through them. Like me and my team been going through them, being
That's
like.
a lot.
Yeah, and being like, look, there's no reason any of this should be sitting inside hard drives anymore. We're cleaning stuff up. We're bringing it back. If there's things I got to figure out, I do it. But yeah, I got enough that I don't got to even think about that anymore. I don't like taking sessions too much anymore. Like, it's just you're putting too much on one moment. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh yeah, this person wants to come in and he needs a hit.
Yeah, that's a crazy request too.
You got 6 hours. It's like, what? Like, I'm supposed to create something that lives on forever.
In 6
hours. And I got
hours.
6 hours. Cool, it happens sometimes. But none of us are like miracle workers.
Right.
So I'd rather have this archive. I have so many things that you could choose from and pick from, and already be like, I need something like this. And I could just be like, boom, here you go. You got it. And I think like over the last 20 years, I built that archive already. So.
It's so funny because digging back into your history, they were talking about how one of the first songs you did was with Genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. Smartest decision ever.
Yeah, tell me why.
Super smart decision. Man, because like we did like a little mini tour off of that. Like I was in like venues just being like, how is this happening? Like girls fainting and stuff. I'm like, nah, this is crazy. But that song changed my life, like in terms of what happened in Canada after that song came out for me. It was crazy. It was like my life changed after that. Shout out Genuine.
When did you move to the U.S.?
I was always back and forth. Like once I wanted to pursue rap, and I knew this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to rap. I want to be in the game. I used to come down, especially here. I used to come here all the time, and just go to like the little bodegas and cop the mixtapes and. Everything, all the early stuff, man. Power of $1, like I had that, the actual one that they were selling out here. I had it in Canada. Everyone else had the burnt CDs.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So, I was always such a fan of the game and the sport so much that like, Canada's like a quick stroll over here. So I would just jump in the car with the homies, come down here, spend the weekend, soak in the culture. Kind of learn the hustle. Even with the mixtapes, I was the first one to have street teams in Canada, like first.
Oh, because you saw it here, so you brought it back there.
I brought it back there, and I had literally all my homies who are now some of the biggest music executives in the world on corners with me. selling CDs, and we sold one of the mixtapes we had, Death Before Dishonor Volume 3, sold 60,000 copies in the street in Canada.
You was getting paid.
Just based on the hustle that I learned coming down here and looking at things here.
And you were the first person to bring DJ Drama to Canada.
Yeah. Drama, but I respect Drama because Drama tells everybody that story to ask him. So shout out to Drama. Yeah, I mean, I was always ahead of it. Rest in peace, K Slay. I had a mixtape with K Slay 15 plus years ago. So yeah, it was always such a influential part of like what I did was like, New York City, obviously where Biggie's from, where Hov is from, and then just like the United States in general, when I would come down here, would teach me so much about how hard you actually got to go to make these things happen.
And that's so reflective in the fact that you're signed to both the Weeknd's label and to Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Who else has that? Are you the only person that's signed to both of them?
Yeah. Like that partnership, yeah.
So do they communicate with each other when it comes to you putting out your project, or you just kind of do everything on your own and they support?
It depends. It just depends on like what cycle they're in too. You know what I mean? They both got so much stuff going on. Like, when Abel's locked in, he's locked in 150%. It's like he's not looking at nothing else. He's not. And, I imagine Hov is the same way.
Right.
So sometimes, it happens where my project is done and I'm like, yo, and I send it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get these extensive essays about the project and, what's loved and what's not. And, sometimes it's just a different time, and it's like, yo, this is dope, bro. Like, this is da-da-da. Maybe do this or whatever, but...
Yeah, do you like feedback, or do you feel like you got it? Like, you kind of know what you're doing already, so...
I like feedback from the right people. You know what I mean?
Not Twitter.
Yeah, like, I feel like if you just listen to too many voices, like, you'll confuse yourself. But, like, if you really respect somebody and, like, you respect their opinion, you respect what they do, I think that's, like, the easiest advice to take, because I'm like, yeah, I grew up wanting to be just like you. So let me hear what you got to say about this,
Yeah, and then you went through a time where you took a break from music. I feel like twice you did that. Like, you took a break from...
Third time incoming.
Yeah, third time. Okay,
third time on the way.
So
yeah.
do you think this one coming up, it could be just a break, maybe?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think
this
so.
is different.
I don't think so, because I think I filled the void with something else. I'm working on writing TV and film stuff now.
Yes.
I got probably 4 or 5 projects greenlit already based on just concepts and ideas I had that I put on paper.
That's a great transition.
It's amazing, and I built a creative compound in Woodland Hills, California. I got all my original collaborators there every single day. We're working on things that we don't normally work on, scores and soundtracks and stuff for TV, for film, and for podcasts, startups. We got a whole bunch of startups working from the same compound. So that to me is like what excitement is now.
That's amazing.
I wake up in the morning, it's like 6:30. My wife's like, where are you going? I'm going to the compound.
That's what I'm talking about, something to be passionate about.
Yeah,
So there was a period of time where you said that you were really going through it. You suffered from PTSD, and you started going to therapy. Do you think that therapy is what made you realize that it was time to make that transition? How did that affect you, and how did it affect your work? And even being able to identify what you were going through. Because like you said, sometimes people look at you and be like, well, don't be ungrateful. You have all these great things happening and you've made it. But how did therapy change your perspective?
Therapy made me realize a lot of things. First of all, they tried like the medicine route at first, right? And then I took some, like, I don't know what it was, but it was for like my depression, PTSD shit, So I took that, and I realized it wasn't for me. Like, I was just, some people it works for, God bless them. I realized I was just somebody that just I was on autopilot so much. I just needed to like hash out what was happening in here.
How did the medication make you feel, though?
Just basic everyday things that I used to, be, at least I think, skilled at. You know what I mean? Like just cooking and stuff like that. Like, my wife would find me in front of the stove, just like dazed out, and whatever I'm cooking is like burning on the stove.
Like zombie-ish.
Yeah. So she was just like, I don't think she's a doctor herself. So she was like, I don't think this is for you. Like, you need to figure something else out. And yeah, I think just having good conversations and like actually stopping once in a while and being like, hold on, let me just assess what's happening. because when you're running on autopilot, our own brains have like this defense mechanism of being like, shut this off, put this way back here, and then put this over here, and put this here because we need to go this way. And then we never stop. And, by the end, it's like so much baggage holding us down, we don't even know, because we never stop to just assess it and figure it out. And, I had a great therapist. I was lucky. Like, she was actually my second therapist. I didn't too much enjoy the conversations with like the first one.
Yeah, that could turn some people off too.
Yeah.
When they get their first therapist, it's like a real relationship. If it doesn't work, you'd be like, therapy's not for me, but it is the right therapist too.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I'm gonna say that, like, if you tried therapy and it didn't work, try somebody else, because that's what I did. And she really changed my life in the way that she would give me perspective on stuff that I couldn't give myself perspective on, and making me look at things. At that point, I was looking at everything so grim and dark, and she was just making me see, like, the brighter side of what things could be, like, no matter what it is. And she showed me that I'm a challenge-driven person, and she was like, this is the greatest challenge you're ever gonna have to fight in your life is fighting or getting out of the way of your own self. So it's the biggest challenge you'll ever have. So if you like challenges, then this is the challenge for you, So we got a bunch of exercises together that we would do and all that, and it just really helped me, just like look at things differently and see a different perspective.
Who do you speak to, like, when it comes to, and I think for men, sometimes it's harder for y'all to have people in your lives to speak to, because for women, and I've heard people say this, like, we talk about everything. If something happens, I'm calling my friends. I'm like, girl, you won't believe what happened. Or this happened at work. Were you the type of person that would kind of internalize things? Or were you able to speak to, like, the people around you or close to you?
I still internalize things, I think some of the closest people to me I look up to so much, so it's hard for me to be vulnerable around. Like, I want to always, like, look strong around them. And, I maybe have, like, one person that I could vent to, other than my wife. And obviously that's different, because there's things that...
That's your best friend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we're together every day. We know everything about each other. Sometimes I just want to go and vent to somebody that's not involved in the situation in any way. I just want to just get my shit out, So
Did a lot of people reach out to you? Because it seems like you're such a private person, but you did go to social media to share your experience.
Right.
And so when that happened, like, who were some of the people that hit you up to be like, bro, what's going on?
Man, it was a few people. I saw Jay at the Rock Nation offices, and, like, we had, like, this normal conversation, and after everybody kind of walked away, he grabbed me and was like, yo, you good? Everything's all right? And that was actually one of the turning points for me, because, like I said, that's somebody I look up to so much, and I was like, I can't have Hov looking at me like this. Like, I gotta figure out, and not like he was looking at me shamefully in any way, but I just didn't want to, it's probably, like, the wrongest way to look at it, but I was just like, no, I gotta figure it out,
Because there's a lot of power in admitting you're not okay too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a hard thing to do, and be vulnerable like that. But there's a lot of people that relate to that, because, like, I'm sure Hov goes through times when he's not okay. Who does he tell? Yeah. And he's not going to go to social media necessarily and say it, but to be able to do that and let people know, like, what's going on in your world.
I just think the music I make for my whole life, I see the fans hit me up and get in my DMs and all that stuff, or even just tweet it and be like, hey, bro, this line saved my life, you know what I mean? Or I listen to Lullaby every day, and it, it gives me power. And some people really hit me up, like, and, I don't even want to be saying this type of stuff, but, like, they're really on some suicidal moments, and used my music and the music of others, obviously, like some of my peers in this thing. And it's like, when you realize that that's what's happening because of what I put out, and then it happens to me, it's like I would be the biggest hypocrite to not let people know.
Right.
Because that's, like, the authenticity of my music.
And why people relate to you. Exactly. Well, let's talk about the new project a little bit, all right? Let's talk about American Nightmare and what the process was for that, and what made you come up with this. What was going on in your life at that time, with your family, with everything. What made you come and write American Nightmare?
I think there was a lot of like anger in that period because when we first started discussing about, did this thing give me enough back, about hip hop and all that, and feeling like maybe I didn't get my just due. And there was a lot of anger in that, like trying to figure those things out and like find or consolidate those things with myself somehow. And I think like this album is definitely my angriest in terms of like,
there's some dark moments.
Yeah, like, but it was good because by the end of the album, it's like my moment of closure. And that's why I love this album, because you could actually feel like the era that I was in, like the time span and the feeling, the emotion I was in, like you feel it in this album. And then, Relapse, the outro is like the closure of all that. And that's why, I could sit here like this now and not be so angry.
Right. Yeah. I mean, because you seem so chill.
Yeah, I'm chill now. I'm good.
And even Ambiance, let's talk about that song a little bit. Actually, I was listening to that song with Mano when he was with me. He really likes that one. So, and you did a video for Ambiance too. So let's talk about Ambiance and even how you talk about women having 1 million likes, but nobody likes her in real life. I don't want to use the words you use.
bitch goes both ways now, but but no, we'll say like, it's something that had to be said, I think.
Right. People care so much about likes on social media and trying to make themselves seem perfect. And it's like, to me, it's like they get stuff done to themselves, they use a filter, and then they Photoshop the pictures too. And then you see somebody in real life and you're like, damn, you a whole different person.
Yeah, whole different person physically, whole different person. Just the personality is a whole different thing.
Right, because they put out all these like positive quotes and
then
captions.
You're an asshole in real life. And it's like, come on, man. You can't be positive eating kale and drinking lettuce smoothies and then come on here and you telling us that you're right Mr. Here. Positive. And then, but at least you positive in real life, Like you could drink those. But yeah, it's weird to me. And then like, a lot of people portray this thing online, and that's fine if it's authentic. And then when they get outside, it's like a completely different thing.
Right.
I know vegans that aren't vegans.
Oh, my gosh.
But they got a whole vegan personality online.
That's so funny. People think I'm vegan, too. And I always have to be like, I'm not vegan, right? I eat vegan because I also think some people think you can't eat vegan food unless you're a vegan. Like sometimes I'll go for periods of time where I do just eat vegan food for like just to kind of cleanse. But I've always made it clear. But people seem to think that just because you eat vegan food, you're vegan.
Yeah. It's weird, man. I think just that whole lifestyle, if you're really going to preach that stuff, and there are some great people that actually lead their life that way, but I think social media like highlighted those people early, and then other people were like, oh, so all I got to do is just eat some lettuce. You just put this
on social media and now I'm a vegan.
And all of a sudden now I'm like positivity and yoga and all this, and then they're really assholes in real life. It's like, nah, you know what, bro, just be the asshole on social media and just let that be your thing,
I think for you also, the fact that you don't really try to like be front and center like that, right? And you do want the music to speak for itself because you are an artist first. Does that mean that sometimes when you're out and about, people don't give you that respect because maybe they don't even know it's you? And they don't. Does that happen?
No, I think just what I've done, like in terms of places that I want to access, I'm good and I'm there just based on things I've done, whether outside of music or even in the music thing. But I think like I don't know. At this point, I'm just not concerned with any of that.
Right.
I'm not concerned with being seen. I'm concerned with being heard. I make music. I don't do dance choreo. I don't. You know what I mean?
That was a good move, though.
It was. I don't. So it's weird. It's weird to me. Like, the obsession people have with attention is crazy to me.
And you have Gil Scott-Heron on the album. How did you get that? Like, how long was that in the stash? Tell me how that happened. He's on Loyalty versus Royalty, which is a very telling song also. But how did that happen?
I'm a huge fan, first and foremost. The activism, the words, the poetry, I think it speaks a lot to like, what I love and what resonates with me. And so I always go back and I listen to some Gil Scott-Heron stuff, interviews and all that. So on that particular day, there was an interview, and I didn't have the hook done yet. So we're like, yo, just take pieces of the interview and just put them as placeholders for now until I figure out what I want to do with this hook. And then shout out to my brother Ferris, like he cut it, put it all in there, and it was like these perfect moments. Even to like what I was saying, I was like, man, we're never gonna clear this. Like, I'm so mad we even put these placeholders in here because we're never clearing it.
Because I love it. And now how are we gonna get this done?
Yeah, and you know, shout out to his estate or his family and or who else, you know, made it happen. Shout out to my team, everybody at Seale & Co., everybody at LSD that made it happen, man. And they reached out. They were like, look, we just want to hear the song. And I guess they just wanted to make sure it wasn't like some crazy, you know, wild shit. And they heard the song and
it's kind of perfect for it.
Yeah, we heard back right away. They were like, yep, it's done. The requests weren't ridiculous. I'm not going to get into details, but the requests weren't ridiculous. You know, sometimes you go to clear something and they're like, yes, 99.9% and your kidney.
Right.
And it's
you're
like, come
damn,
on, bro.
I can't even.
Like, you know, and they were super reasonable about what they asked for and everything. So, you know, shout out to Gil Scott-Heron and the whole team. Rest in peace to Gil Scott-Heron.
And that's a perfect song to have him on. And you talk a lot about what you were going through during that time and being dead broke and having to borrow money from people and things like that. How hard is that? Because I'm the type of person, my pride, like, I can't even ask anybody, you know, I struggle. I've been through, like, struggles, but I won't even ask my family for anything.
I can't ask for money neither. I can't. But I think with that, I was just blessed enough, you know, to have a mentor and an older brother like Sal, or Sal could just see it in my face. Like he knows when I'm uncomfortable about something. He knows when something's bothering me, and I never had to ask. Like in those moments, he would just find a way to make it happen.
And people who invest in you because they know the value that you have.
Yeah, I mean,
at that time,
absolutely. I know his belief in me is there, but
yeah.
That's really like, I was the best man at his wedding. He's going to be the best man at mine. That's really my brother and somebody that was really, like, there for me without me ever asking or without me ever... Because I feel you. Like, I don't even know how to approach the situation. Like, how do you even, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's hard. Our pride and our ego is not going to allow that.
Yeah.
But when you care, I also feel like you have to care about somebody a lot to accept help from them, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, not just like to ask, but to accept it, because sometimes we don't want to do that. But when you know somebody really cares about you and they're not going to throw it back in your face, you know, later on. Are you excited for your wedding?
I am.
Is it a big wedding or a small, intimate?
It started off as small and intimate. It's not small and intimate no more. Yeah, we're getting up there in like almost 300 people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely not small and intimate.
Yeah.
So the song Just Like Me, would you say your fiance is just like you?
Yeah. That song's about her.
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
What did she think when she heard it?
She loves it. She loves that song. She's really my biggest critic because she like loves to push me further. So like, I'll play her a new song that I made and she'll be like, yeah, it's cool, but like, you remember when you made this? And I'll be like, oh man, why'd you have to play that? Like, like I don't want to have to hold myself to the standard all the time. She's like, no, that's the standard you got to hold yourself to.
See, that's great. That's like positive reinforcement. That's what I teach my friends to do in the bedroom. If a guy's not doing a good move, instead of being like, I don't like that, you got to be like, that's cool, but what about when you did it like What about when you did it like this?
That's literally how she approaches it with me in terms of the music.
Okay, sorry.
The music, yeah.
So after this, 2 more projects. Okay, and you already know it's mapped out because you got 5,000 songs, references ready to go. So
it's funny because like all my guys from like the Animals, Dehila, Danny Boy, Ben Billions, they all got these songs from like eras that we sat around and made music together. And they're all putting together like these playlists of what the album could sound like. So I got like all these albums and I just got to consolidate everything into the last 2.
Ooh, you can make it like different eras in one album.
Yeah, it's really cool because it's really like that. I could really go back and listen to something and be like, oh man, I was really down in the dumps over here. Or like hear something and be like, my energy was on 150 here. So it's really cool to be able to go through those songs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I don't like and I feel like we don't know if this is really going to be the for real, because you said you're going to do a tour as well.
Yeah.
And then but you do have other things, and I see that your passion has kind of shifted. It's still the music, because like you said, soundtracks, scoring, all those things are still going to be related. So
that's the thing that gives me the butterflies now. you know, like creating music for a show that I just wrote and got greenlit.
Right.
I walk in the studio like I walked in the studio when I was 14. I haven't had that feeling in a long time.
Okay, that's
you know?
fair.
Yeah.
And do we have any spoilers on what these shows are, or any of them?
I would, trust me, especially if they weren't like signed on to other people and I have partnerships.
Okay,
but I just
okay.
don't want to spoil like, you know, certain partnerships or like ideas they have to launch the stuff. So.
Does anything have to do with you and your story, or?
No, I think I tie in everything I write has to do a little bit with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I got this show about an immigrant kid who wants to become like a figure skater, you know, and his pops is completely against the idea, and, you know, all this. And it's really like, in the beginning of me telling my dad I wanted to rap, I was like thinking like, what's the most ridiculous thing you could tell to an Arab parent, you know? And other than I want to rap, it's got to be like I want to be a figure skater, or like, you know what I mean? So, you know, we were toying around with that idea, and we got a partner in Canada to do it with us. But that is
so ridiculous.
I always tie it in the stuff that like really kind of has to do with me, but not completely directly, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming through. I know you, like you said, you pick and choose what you decide to do, so it's an honor for me to have you here.
No, it's an honor for me to be here. I think the last time I didn't pull up because it was going to be some sexual conversations on
lip service
on your other show, yeah. And I was just and at
Hey,
that
I
time,
just did lip service in Atlanta. Okay, the former mayor.
No, I love, mind you, I love the show.
Right.
But at that time, I think my engagement had just happened.
Oh, you were like, I'm not
meeting
trying to
my
ruin it.
in-laws and stuff. I was like, I'm not about to go into anything right now. On anything right now, you know what I mean? Let me just fall
I'm not
back.
gonna go into
you know?
anything on anything.
Yeah, no. So I appreciate you having me here and everything. I've been waiting a long time to do
Okay,
this.
after you guys get married, then we'll have you come on lip service. But that time is done, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, at that point, maybe I'll bring her on with me. We can come on together.
We like a couple's lip
Yeah.
service. That'll be fun.
Yes,
Then we
sir.
can learn more about you. You guys can learn some things about each other.
We'll see.
Because, you know, I don't know if people are supposed to tell each other everything, but, you know.
I mean, we know a lot, man. That's really my best friend. For
Okay.
real. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's beautiful. Congratulations on everything. And Mumble Rap 2 is out on Friday, so May 19th. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to everybody hearing this. Like I said, we were in here listening to it. And it's a quick listen, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Some of the songs are like 2 minutes.
Short and sweet.
They're
Yeah.
very short and sweet, but
Yeah.
I was like, come on.
I mean, yeah. Just hit that rewind button.
Yeah,
You're
you know,
good,
we did.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Belly,
No,
for
thank you
coming
for
through.
having me.